IIT graduate. You can see his credentials here. He did his electronics engineering from IIT, and then he moved on to Princeton University, USA, where he did his degree in, I think, solid state physics, if I'm not mistaken. So he has a very, very technical background. But one of the exciting things about Madhur is that I really respect your holistic approach to health. And we are going to speak about one topic tonight, which I think many people know about and that it's a concern, but very few people have solutions to it. And that is the topic of indoor air pollution and what we can do about this issue that is just, getting worse and worse.
See, you know that we know each other for 22 years now, probably more. I watch my weight, I do exercise, I eat properly, I take supplements. I try to just stay as healthy as possible. I consider health is like wealth. But in last few years, I started realizing when the more and more data I started coming across, that everything that I do is helping me gain maybe 1 extra year of life, 6 more months of life, 2 extra years of life. And then just by the mere fact that I'm living in a place like India, I'm losing 5 years of my life just by living here. And I said that all that effort that I'm taking, which takes sometimes more than 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, all of that is essentially going down the drain. Just the air pollution is taking away from my life. And then I realized that that doesn't need extra 5 hours of work a day. It just needs something as simple as getting purified air in the house. And initially I just thought, oh, it's like drinking clean water and this like that. Now, one more shocking thing is, see, food I can control. A poor guy may not be able to eat healthy food. I can eat healthy food. Water I can drink healthy, but air I cannot. And air pollution essentially is intolerant of your financial status. You could be the richest guy in Mumbai and you breathe the same air that a poor guy breathes down the street. It's just what difference you make when you have air in control in your house. And so I'm very passionate about it. And I don't think it's an electronic gadget. It's more like a health conscious decision, health conscious choice and activity. And I think it's even more important than trying to do exercise every day and staying healthy by all this, because sheer fact of pure air is going to give you more life than all those other things included. So, we'll anyway talk about that as we go ahead.
I mean, Madhur, you run a successful business in the field of air purification and indoor home air purification, that is. And I remember you were actually the person who convinced me and my family in Pramila, I think 3-4 years back, to take this seriously. And I was not a believer at all, but I am now. It's really changed our life. The advice you gave us on what air purifier to buy, because there's so many choices and so many things out there, and most of them actually don't work. We got advice from you, you guided us, and you run a very successful business today in this field of providing advice and solutions in that field. So anyhow, over to you, and we are looking forward to next 7, 8, 10 minutes here. It's going to be really life-changing. I'm excited. So over to you.
Stefan, I'm going to break my talk into 2 parts. I'll just give some perspective to people on what is air pollution as regards their health. And second, then I'm going to show you how an air purifier can solve that problem, but why most of the air purifiers in India cannot solve that problem. So now this is the same city. On the left is clean air, nice air. On the right is a polluted city. And these days, Mumbai is exactly like that. Now people want to first, before you address anything, you want to know air pollution. You are going to ask, how do you measure it? How do you say right side is bad and how much bad it is? So this is what they use. This is something called air quality index. And let's not go into the details. Just remember, green is good air, 0 to 50. As the number increases, that air quality increases, the colors is green, yellow, orange, and it starts getting bad when it's red or maroon or purple. Red, maroon, or purple are not even thought about as problems in many countries because they don't exist in many countries. And in India, it's like pretty much everywhere that's the kind of scene. And so if we look at that previous picture again, remember these 2 things. So 33, so good quality air on the left side, bad quality air on the right side. And Mumbai is much worse than the one on the right-hand side. This is the snapshot I took today morning. So Mumbai on the left side, Delhi on the right-hand side. Delhi, the more data points are measured, but you don't see any green there. Everywhere it's pathetic. It's like red and more than 150, 200. You show it to a European country, they will just freak out. They will say, forget that COVID thing, we are worried about pollution. And it's unfortunately that bad. Now, what is the effect on health? A lot of times, yeah, it's polluted, I'll get sneezing, I get cough, cold, and that's people's understanding of pollution and their health. First of all, what does air pollution cause? It can give you stroke and heart attack. So sneezing, cough, these are the least of your problems. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into a place like Mumbai or Delhi, you're risking extra chances of stroke and heart attack and asthma and COPD, that's a lung condition, and various respiratory infections like pneumonia and bronchitis and all sorts of cancers. And why do they happen? Because if you want to quantify the risk of air pollution, this is what it is. Look at these colors, green, yellow, orange, some numbers. If the air quality is red, you can assume the problem that you will face long term is equal to you are having smoked 5 cigarettes. So if Mumbai's air pollution is 200 today, I think it was 310 yesterday. So essentially it means the person who lived in Mumbai, doesn't matter rich or poor, as long as you lived in Mumbai, it was equivalent of you having smoked 7 or 8 or 9 cigarettes. That's what the lower number shows. 9 cigarettes, it's not just you smoking. Your wife smoked 9 cigarettes, your son smoked 9 cigarettes, your little child smoked 9 cigarettes, and your father and mother also smoked 9 cigarettes. So that's the intensity. If you smoke 5 cigarettes every day, what's going to happen after 2 years? What's going to happen after 10 years? Nothing may happen after a day. You might get cough and some kind of a rough problem, but you're not going to get that much problem if you smoke it on one day. So how has the air been in Mumbai over 2 years? I just got data from various cities just to tell people, because sometimes people think, no, it's not a big problem. Just see this Mumbai data, see the various colors on different days of the year. This is 365 into 2 or 700 odd days. How many days it has been red? Every day it was red, you smoke 5 cigarettes. Every day it was maroon, you smoke 10, 15 cigarettes. And Gurgaon is obviously worse, and Bangalore and Hyderabad. And it's not just these metro cities, oh, these are big cities, there's a problem. Even smaller cities. So you will see it in Pune and Ahmedabad and Chennai and Kolkata, and you go down north, Patna and Jaipur, look at the colors. I mean, I don't even know how we live in this. The problem is that most of us don't know it's such a big problem, so we endure it. And we worry about other small things. We are so worried about COVID. Now, I hope none of us gets it and we all stay safe. But this is something 100% of you are getting. Okay, COVID, there's a small chance we might catch, and we're so worried. We spent a whole year worrying about it. And this is sure shot sickness. This is sure shot. It's like many of you, especially if you're in North India, you're smoking 10 cigarettes a day for almost the whole year. And your little child is smoking 10 cigarettes a day. And that cannot be easy on the body at all. And so, I don't want to hammer you too much. There's another way to look at it. How much life expectancy you reduce. Suppose God has given you, let's say your destiny says you'll live 80 years. Let's say I live 80 years. How much will air pollution take away? This is the world map. White shows clean air. And as it gets redder and redder, those are countries where you lose air. So world average, you lose 1.8 years. But if you look at it, except for India and some part of China, almost all the parts are quite good. And so you are losing 1.8 years on an average in the world. Now look at this. This is University of Chicago data. They said air pollution is taking away 1.8 years of our life on an average if we live anywhere in the world. Now if you remove Switzerland and Australia and New Zealand and USA and Canada and all these nice air countries which you saw in the previous map, this is what you get for India. The Indian average, you can see it on the left hand side. This is the number spewed out, 5.2. And it's second most polluted country. And China is not the most polluted country. It's Bangladesh. And so that's the kind of, it's extremely bad. So if you live in India, on an average, you're going to lose 5.2 years of your life. And God save you if you live somewhere in North India. It's even worse. It's 8 to 9, 10 years. That means if I would emigrate to Australia and live my life, you would live whatever your God-given life is. And you would live 5 years lesser because just by the fact that you lived in India, and it doesn't matter if you're a multimillionaire because you're breathing the same damn air. And that's so sad. And then I realized that I'm telling people to be healthy and this and that. And I'm telling them to have some good nutrition and don't eat junk and take care of your body. And the air pollution is taking away these things from our lives. Now, luckily, though, we can do something about it. So people think pollution means this. This is not the part that you need to worry about. In fact, many of you, the closest you're seeing pollution is this. But can you believe this is what Department of Environment, they call it EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. So that's Department of Environment of United States of America said this. that your indoor pollution can be 2 to 5 times more than the outdoor concentration. And why? Because there are certain things that stay in the house, like agarbatti you will have in incense stick, you will have in your house, you will not have it outdoors. And so a lot of pollutants, they stay in your house. And so indoor pollution can be 2 to 5 times worse. But why is it worse? Because you spend 90% of your time indoors. None of us works on the road. We are not laborers on the street. We don't sell bail on the road. So most of us are either in our home indoors or our office indoors or our clinic indoors. So we are somewhere indoors, even our car indoors. And the pollution just gets at us for 10, 15, 20 hours. And so we are worried about 2 hours outside. We should be worried about 24 hours minus 4 hours. That's 20 hours inside. And so, this looks like a beautiful house. Can you guess that this room will be more polluted than most of the outdoor stuff? Because it will have certain stuff in the house, I don't have time to explain those, which you won't have outdoors. In fact, sometimes people say, oh, I have nice trees, and yeah, it might look good. You might have bonsai plants and all that. It will be beautiful for a photograph, but your house could be far more polluted. And I'm pretty sure that your house, if you measure with meters, will be far more polluted than your outdoors are. You will see more dust outside, but dust is not really the problem. Why? Because you see in this thing, most of us think dust is a problem. I can tell you dust will not kill you. You will sneeze because your body has a mechanism to repel those things. You have nasal hair and nasal mucosa and all that, and you will cough and you will bring out that dust. But if I make particles which are 10 times smaller than the dust particles, 100 times smaller than the dust particles, 1,000 times particles smaller than the dust particles, which your eyes can't see, obviously, they will straight away go through. Your body has no defense for these particles. Let me show you with a picture. If this is a strand of your hair, well, maybe you have longer hair. My hair are short. It's something like this. The large dust particles are 1/5 the size of the hair. So you see those blue ones? They're the big ones, but they're still not that big. There are particles which are even 4 times smaller than those. They're considered bad because they go through your nose into your lungs. And if you go 10 times smaller than that, and 100 times smaller than that, and 1,000 times smaller than that, they can just go in your blood, and through that, they will go all over. And your body has zero defense for it because your body cannot even detect these. And the problem is, air purifiers, unless they are really good, they can't even remove these particles. They can remove the dust. So they will, say we remove all the dust, and you will feel good because you will not sneeze. But what about those particles which don't even cause sneeze? They are 1,000 times smaller than the particle that irritates your nasal hair. So it's such a stealthy and still what you call stealth enemy, a hidden enemy that you don't see. And so these are typically the people who are most vulnerable: children, pregnant women, elderly people, people with some kind of conditions. But in my view, in a country like India, everyone is vulnerable. They're finding in Delhi, every third child has impaired lungs. If you take the numbers, Mumbai should have every fourth child having impaired lungs. When we are small kids, our entire class of 60 people, 60 children would have maybe 2-3 kids with asthma. Now, 10 to 15% of the children, it's like 10 kids have asthma. And what's their fault? They didn't do anything wrong. They were just born in a wrong country. I mean, I tell parents, the sad part about your child is it was born in your house. If you were born in Australia, in somebody else's house, your child would not have asthma. And this is so sad because this is something that we can do something about. How does the air purifier make a difference? This is one evening, in a span of 1 hour, I calculated air quality on the left side top with a meter outside my office window. And this was inside my office, the second one. And this was the rest of the world. So the air quality, you saw those red and green and blue and numbers. You saw 30 and 180 and 300 being bad. That day, the air outside my window was 171 in Mumbai. And today it will be similar. That's how bad it is outdoor. But inside my office, inside my room, where I was sitting with the air purifier, it was 4. That's the lowest it can get. At the same time, you can see the air quality in Geneva. You can get this data live online. It was 19. Iceland, 16. Auckland, New Zealand, 14. And so Switzerland, it was 18. So what I'm trying to say is 190.71 was pathetic for Mumbai. And air in many clean European cities was 10 times better. Now, the number of cigarettes, right? I was smoking 5 cigarettes equivalent by living in Mumbai. But in my office, because of air purifier, I brought it down to 4. 4 is like what? Almost 1/10 of a cigarette. My room, my office room, sitting in Mumbai was 5 times better than the best capitals of European countries. And that's amazing. In fact, you can actually see that with a good quality air purifier, that's what you will get. You may not get it with the cheap air purifiers. So typically what an air purifier does, this is what is called an exploded view. A typical air purifier will suck the air in, it will filter out all the small particles, it can filter out noxious gases, and clean air is thrown out. Now, most air purifiers in the market may not do this. They might do a little bit of it in here and there. They may not do all of it. Now, as I'm coming towards the end, I'm just going to tell you what are the specifications of air purifiers that matter. There are only 3 things that matter. What is the technology used for this cleaning? How do you clean that air? Because if you use the wrong technology, you can cause more harm. Okay. Second, and what is the smallest particle size clean? Because if you are going to clean, you need to know how much you are going to clean. Can it thoroughly clean? To what level? So whatever level particles that can cause damage, you need to remove them. And the last thing is, if these 2 things are okay, what is your cleaning, what we call CADR? What is your cleaning capacity? How much room can you clean to these specifications? So if the first 2 are not there, the last one doesn't matter. So number 1, without going into the details, various industry experts, they advise you to use a technology called HEPA. And there is a reason for it, but I will not go into it. If your machine doesn't do HEPA filtration technology, which is called a very passive, it doesn't put anything new into the air, then you should proceed. Otherwise, you don't want to look at an air purifier. Second, how small a particle that can cause harm. See this is a grain of sand. That's about 90 micron. Your hair is about 60 micron. Particles, small particles like dust and pollen and mold, which we can see sometimes affecting us in a way, like at least as a haze or something, it's 10. And then there are particles which are smaller, is 2.5 micron. And then there are particles which are 10 times smaller than that. They are the most dangerous because your body has no defense against it. And worse are the particles which are 100 times smaller. Why? Because when the particles are 100 times smaller, they are actually million times more in quantity. And so huge number of particles they go through your lung, into your blood, and through your blood, they go all over your body. And since they are external particles, they cause something called inflammation, and you just are risking stroke, and you're risking heart attack, and you're risking all sorts of cancer, because many of these conditions, their cause, I won't use the word cause, but their starting point or triggers are something called inflammation. These external particles just go, your body has very good defenses, but not against these very, very, very small enemies. And so you want to remove these 2 numbers, you remember. If you want to remove inflammatory particles, you need to clean down to at least 0.03, 30 nanometers. That is 1,000 times smaller than the cross section of your hair. That is 2,000 times smaller than the cross section of your hair. And if you want to remove viruses are even smaller than that. Some viruses, obviously, some are bigger, smaller than that. You need to go down to 5 nanometer size. So good air purifier should be able to go. There are only a couple of these which in India which can do. Almost others don't. Many of these air purifiers don't remove the enemy. So if you can't remove the real enemy, what's the use of having a false sense of security? It's just then it's an ornamental gadget in your house. And the last point is your clean air delivery rate. This is the amount of air cleaned by an air purifier, all machines specified. As a rule, you remember a CADR, clean air delivery rate of 200 cubic meter per hour. That's how they are mentioned in India. So if it's a CADR of 200, it means something. You roughly can assume that 225 square foot of room will be clean. 200 square foot of room if you are living in a very, very polluted city. So 200, that's easier to remember instead of multiplication factors and all. 100 CADR, 100 square foot. That's how you remember it simply.
Thank you so much, Madhur. I mean, enlightening. And I want to thank you personally for the advice you gave me and my family, guiding us to use the right brand, because it's very confusing with everything that is available. And as you rightly said, some of the cheaper models don't do the work at all. And those who are interested in specific information, Madhur has a successful business in the field of home indoor air purification. You can contact him. I will put his email ID on YouTube in the description of this video, so you can just email him directly. I'm very happy to recommend him because he is the one who has advised us on all our solutions and given us the right brand and everything.